Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, you have two films to go check out. And joining me, it's that time of the month, it's that Thursday. It's Jeff. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, anytime.
And we are going to be tackling one of Hollywood's many why did they make almost the same exact movie at the same time? No, this one's not about asteroids hitting planet Earth or about people invading the White House. We picked the magician one, and that is The Prestige and The Illusionist. So, I mean, like, I know for at least for me, The Prestige was obviously big on my radar because I remember watching this for the first time in college and just being my mind blown,
Hmm.
being and it being a Christopher Nolan film and everything. And then I think I found out about The Illusionist like much later. But this one, 2006, directed by Christopher Nolan, rival 19th century magicians engage in a bitter battle for trade secrets. And that seems pretty straightforward, but it's not, because this is a Christopher Nolan movie. Is there science fiction? There sure is. And this is a wild film starring Hugh Jackman as Robert Angier and Christian Bale as Alfred Borden, and of course you have Michael Caine thrown in there, Piper Perabo, Rebecca Hall, Scarlett Johansson, David Bowie, which was interesting as Nikola Tesla, and even some Andy Serkis with his actual face there. But Jeff, what are your general thoughts on The Prestige?
This is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's a pretty
Mhm.
good way to start this one off. I
Yep.
I love this movie. Um, it's it hits every single spot that I want in a movie. It's Christopher Nolan is just a genius at it. He's tackling science fiction. He's got good cinematography. There's great actors involved doing great things. The story is just outstanding. I'm even thinking about going and reading the book after I'm done
Mhm.
talking on this podcast because I've heard good things about the book even. Like there's been nothing bad about this movie, and I've watched this movie a lot,
Yep.
and I've never found anything in this movie that I'm like, this is bad, this is bad. There's nothing bad in this movie.
I rewatch for this, I definitely was picking up on just how insanely detailed this movie is because you watch this film and you realize how much this screenplay from Christopher and Jonathan Nolan just set everything up.
Yeah.
Like we like you can know from like the very beginning of the movie what's going to happen if you're really paying attention. And what's crazy is that thematically connects back to the whole magician part of it because the whole entire thing is paying attention.
Hmm.
And Michael Caine explains that to us at the very beginning of the movie and just how that all falls back. And I'm trying to think which Nolan film he stopped doing this, but there's that quiet mix of editing of like montages of shots, somebody talking over it, and it like dips out the sound of what's going on. Because like you saw the Memento, you saw it in Insomnia, Batman Begins, this. There's just an interesting subtlety in terms of like how fluid some of these shots are edited together. And I don't know if like eventually he didn't have the same editor working with him, but like there's just something really interesting about how this film is all put together. Because one,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not non-linear. You have multiple uh sequences throughout this film that are all told through journals and diaries
Hmm.
that turn out to be pitfalls, and you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's actually real or not? And
Because I think
having,
I think that's how the book is.
yeah, it
The
is.
book is very much like that, where it's like just journal entries, and it's not like an actual like story. If I understand it correctly, that's what it is.
It is. I actually listened to the audiobook
Yeah.
of the book, and it is indeed set up in that way, and it adds that interesting layer to it. And then the overarching story of these two obsessed men and how far they will go to like one up each other as magicians, which like it's so interesting because like what magicians movies we get now is Now You See Me, which are like very pulpy, like over the
Hmm.
top ridiculous. And this is like I I can't even describe how much my jaw dropped when I got to the end of this movie the first time watching this. My brother and I watched this together. He was visiting me in college, and I bought this from the Princeton Record Exchange. It was used, it was like $4. Just popped this in and didn't realize it was going to change my life. Uh,
Yeah.
and I just could not believe because this has two twists in it that are
Hmm.
so shocking. And I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't figure out one of them because it's literally right there the whole entire movie.
Yeah.
And testament to makeup and one particular actor in this movie. And then the other one is dark and twisted. And it just leaves this haunting image at the very end of the film. And there's some like minor reveals of like um the this Lord Caldwell at the very end, and like when you realize who that actually is, and you're just like, what?
Hmm.
There- There's so many of those moments, and Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan just understand how to earn a twist like that and to really get you with it.
Yeah.
And it just feels so much more satisfying in this specific film because the whole entire point of this film is to pull a trick on the
Hmm.
audience. Like, this is all about magicians. This is what it's all about. And damn, there's some great prestiges in this movie from a storytelling perspective that they are able to get over on us.
Yeah. This movie just it always hits the right spot for me. Like
Mhm.
it's any of Nolan's films are kind of like this for me, but like this one especially, like if you just want a really good, just like basically just like a kind of like a who done it in a way,
Yeah,
where nothing gets revealed until the very end, and it's so satisfying when it does, even though you're like you said, like one of the secrets is kind of dark, the other they're both honestly pretty dark because when you think
yeah,
about where the one character's fate ends up at the end, like what you were talking about with the twist that's there the entire movie and you don't see it. I really hate dancing around spoilers on this, but if you haven't watched this movie, go watch it. It's like a 20-year-old movie. Go watch
yeah.
it.
This is one of those films where I'm like, I just really hope that you don't know anything about this movie going in.
Exactly.
But to be fair, okay, well, it's 20 years old. We've danced around this enough. So, Jeff, yes, Christian
Just
Bale is
I would say for the
two
for for the
brothers.
for the list for the listeners, just skip ahead like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like Christian Bale's two brothers who keep like not only are they two brothers, but they keep switching
But
places.
wait, were they brothers, or was he just like someone who looked very close to um Christian Bale's character? I was under the impression that they weren't brothers. They were just like lookalikes, kind of like how Hugh Jackman's lookalike was.
Because they literally look just like each other, unlike Hugh Jackman's like slightly teethier,
Yeah.
drunker version of himself. Um, I think they are brothers because I think it goes back to that like when that little kid, and this is one of those great little details in the film where the kid's like, "But where's his brother?" about the bird, and you're just
Oh,
like, I remember rewatching this last week. I'm just like, God,
yeah.
and just like how that all just is peppered through there because I think that's why it's so powerful, their connection. Because
Hmm.
like obviously a toothy drunken Hugh Jackman can't be trusted because like they don't have a connection. They
Yeah.
just oddly look like each other. But like their commitment together, and my God, it makes Rebecca Hall's story in this movie
Oh, yeah.
so tragic. And she's still one of the most underappreciated actors working today. And he nails it. Her and Scarlett Johansson in particular. I think Piper Perabo doesn't get a whole lot to work with, to be frank, because like, she dies with like, the first 15
Yeah.
minutes of the movie. But Rebecca Hall and Scarlett Johansson kill it. Like they are so fantastic in this film. And most people are gonna think of Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman from this movie, but like the two of them come to play. And
Hmm.
especially Rebecca Hall, her final moments in this film are just haunting. Just emotionally. And it just makes it so challenging when you realize just how messed up this arrangement that the Bordens have, that this isn't just affecting them.
Hmm.
Like this is affecting a child, a wife, a mistress, and all like everyone involved. They're gonna screw up the lives of anybody they become connected with. And it's so interesting because like how committed they are to the bit. I don't think anybody has ever been more committed to the bit. Two of them.
Yeah.
And then Hugh Jackman's whole journey, like I I love Hugh Jackman so much, and he is so perfect playing
Hmm.
scummy human beings and very challenging human beings. And Angier is a spiteful, jealous person who is completely driven by this revenge and everything. And his whole journey, the that whole entire thing, like going to Colorado and basically what turned out to be a cloning machine, that image of just all those hats and the
Hmm.
two cats is just like it's haunting to look at.
Yeah.
And just like there's something steely and uncomfortable about David Bowie's performance as Nikola Tesla, that it's just like at this point where it just when that final note that he leaves Angier and it's like destroy it. And there's just like something haunting in that voice. I'm like, oh man, don't use this machine. And it's just Hugh Jackman just goes completely into it. And I think this is like obviously there's the emotional places that Alfred goes in some of the Batman films, but I feel like Michael Caine probably gets the meatiest, most interesting role that he has in a Nolan film in this, because like obviously he's in so
Yeah,
many of them.
that makes sense. I can see where you're going with that.
Like there's not emotional connection like there is with Alfred, because like my God, that man makes me cry,
Hmm.
especially in The Dark Knight Rises. But like Sutter's such an interesting player in all of this. And really like his turn and his own character development, because he's pushed to a point where like he has to make moral decisions where he's just like I can't follow you where you're going on this journey with him and Angier. There's just so many compelling elements to this film. The chef's kiss to you,
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan, because you killed it. This is one of my this is my top probably like I think like top 50 favorite movies. I'm a huge Nolan fan. I think the only film of his that I do like more is Interstellar, and it really leans into even more into science fiction, which I
Sure.
absolutely love. And this is like one of the most shockingly science fiction movies, because like you don't just casually think this movie about 19th century magicians is going to have like crazy cloning machines and stuff like that, and it's just like what.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, this film just is just excellent all over. No notes.
no notes. I'm like, I wish that I could come up with a film this clever and interesting. And that's the power of both Christopher and Jonathan Nolan working together. Because
Hmm.
I think they really do bring out a lot in each other. And I hope Jonathan Nolan, like obviously he was so heavily involved in Westworld.
Hmm.
I feel like he had another show that he's working
He did
on
get he
now.
did get another show. I can't remember what it was though.
So it'll be there somewhere. But obviously they're both doing their thing. Now, I guess, Jeff, do you have any other thoughts on the Prestige before we move into The Illusionist?
No, no, I think I'm good. And I think the other show he was involved with was Person of Interest.
Okay.
He was a producer and writer on Person of Interest from like 2011 to 2016, from what IMDb shows me.
He has a good sense of television for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Um, because I'm trying to Helen Gone seems to be like his next project. I don't think I've heard of that. But
I'm not familiar.
next up, we have another 2006 movie about magicians. And that is The Illusionist. And this film is from writer director Neil Berger, who has made films like Divergent, The Upside, Voyagers. So like not exactly like the strongest track
Hmm.
record of interesting films. But here we have the turn of the century Vienna. A magician uses his abilities to secure the love of a woman for above his social standing. And here we have Edward Norton as Eisenheim, the magician. We have Paul Giamatti, Jessica Biel. Ah, that time when Jessica Biel was like super popular in a whole bunch of stuff. Rufus Sewell, who Rufus Sewell is always an excellent choice to be an antagonist in anything.
Yeah, I love him
Um,
in everything he's been in, or everything that
yep.
I've seen him in.
Eddie Marson even thrown in there. Obviously, Paul Giamatti getting thrown into anything just to get more interesting. Um, but Jeff, what were your general thoughts on The Illusionist?
So I had not seen this movie before.
Mhm,
This was my first time watching it in prep for the podcast. Um, I do remember when it came out, along
mhm.
with like shortly before or after The Prestige, and I think I remember seeing The Prestige, and I was just like, no, no, I don't want to watch that. This is better. But I ended up watching this, and I actually kind of really enjoyed it, especially when it like hit the second half. Like I actually kind of really liked it.
What's
Like
inter
not better than The Prestige. I should say that. Not better than Prestige, but it's still pretty good.
what's crazy is well, so the Prestige had like almost twice the budget, or more than twice the budget of the Illusionist, but both of them made like a decent amount of money. So for both these magician movies, making some money. But this, what I appreciate what Berger did here is like Nolan's film feels like a Nolan film with a period setting.
Yeah.
This feels like very vintage, and like they really lean into like specific textures and how they visualize some of the effects and
Yeah.
stuff like that gives it a very like haunting old-timey like I'm watching old-timey footage
Hmm.
kind of feel, and I appreciated that element that Berger and obviously the cinematographer were able to incorporate into this. um it has some really strong actors in there. Like, I don't think this is one of Edward Norton's most standout or interesting performances necessarily. He's like, obviously, he's had some really powerful performances in his career.
Hmm.
But I think he sells it well. I think Paul Giamatti and Rufus Sewell give the film a little bit like of that weight and a little bit
Yeah.
more interest. I think Jessica Biel's fine. Like, I don't think she stands out in a particularly strong kind of way, but
Well, because I don't think there's really much for her to do,
no.
because it's really not about her.
Yep.
I mean, she's in it. It's about his love for her, but it's not like she doesn't really have anything to do there besides to just be the love interest.
Yeah. And, I think this film works. I'm gonna stop trying to bring up the prestige and just talk about this film. I think this film works from a technical perspective. I think it looks interesting and I like that kind of vibe that it's going for. Whenever Eisenheim's doing his stuff, it's haunting and interesting looking, and it's
Yeah.
creepy in a way. I think that's really cool. I think this film also has an interesting kind of twisted who done it,
Hmm.
or like maybe better of how done it. Like that's might be a little bit more interesting of like how he managed to do all of this.
Yeah.
And I think there's some good tension and stuff like that. And you're right. As this film gets into the second half and like how this plays out, it gets interesting. And, you know, they have some interesting twists and turns in this
Yeah.
story. And like Edward Norton's character has been like much more on top of things throughout this film than you might think that he was
Hmm.
throughout. And I think it has some good elements of that. This is an enjoyable film, and like I could see where like to make a magician pun, where this kind of cast a spell on the audience a bit. And I think it works. And if you're ready for some interesting kind of like period psychological supernatural thriller, really leaning into this magician element, this is a little bit more fantastical um
Hmm.
in its presentation, and you're looking for some of that. I think this really scratches that itch pretty well.
Yeah, I think the one negative I'll say about it was that like the ending where you kind of see everything come together, like a lot of that stuff like I kind of like called like right from the get-go when I
Mhm.
watched this, because again, I'm watching it for the first time. I don't want to have to do that. Like I feel like I'm like I feel like maybe like I'm too good of a writer or a movie watcher to know to be fooled by like what this movie was trying to do at the end. Like if I could figure it out, then I'm like it's probably not that in like it's probably not that great, but I still enjoy it. I still
Yeah,
enjoyed what it did, and I liked seeing it like my kind of theories kind of actually come to fruition and actually happen.
it's one of those kinds of things where it's like, have I watched too many movies
Oh yeah,
or
oh
now?
100%.
Yeah, now
And
like
then that's how I
uh
go. Like that's how I go in. Like how like when, like if I'm watching like a TV show that I had never seen before, sometimes, very sometimes, like I'll like be watching a thing and I'll be like listening to the dialogue and I'll hear someone say something and then I'll say what I think the next line is going to say and then they'll say it. So I'm like, man, I could have wrote this.
we have those moments for sure when you're
And I don't. But
watching
again, I
stuff
don't
and
know.
just
I don't.
like,
But like what you said, like I don't know if I've just watched enough movies or if I'm that good of a writer. Not to brag.
there you go. Humble brag. I'm pretty sure mine is I've watched way too many movies.
From what I
Um,
know, from what I know about you, yeah, you've probably watched too many movies.
so there you go. It's one of those things where I feel like this one doesn't like really shock me and
Right.
surprise me. It's where it's like, oh, I'm enjoying the ride where
Yeah.
I'm going on with this movie. Like the Prestige literal legitimately shocked me when I watched that for the first
100%.
time.
100%.
And, that's probably why that one has more of a lasting legacy than The Illusionist. Also probably the Christopher Nolan of it too. I don't think people are going back doing retrospectives of Neil Berger's career. But people are really going back and checking out Christopher Nolan films. Like,
But it's actually like I was gonna say, I this film is actually kind of interesting. Not necessarily the film itself, but like just the pairing of Paul Giamatti, Neil Berger, and this is like a Brian Koppelman, David Levian produced film. They
hmm,
all come together later to do Billions.
interesting.
So like because when I saw Neil Berger, I was like, oh, like he's done some directing stuff for Billions, and obviously I knew Paul Giamatti was in it, and then I saw that it was a Brian Koppelman because I love Brian Koppelman. I think he's a huge screenwriting inspiration of mine.
Hmm.
Um, and so when I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, like all these people came back together later to do Billions. That's not a a coincidence.
And what's even more interesting is that Spielberg went on to make Limitless,
Oh yeah, that's right.
which we talked about. So there you go. Um, I really appreciate like the cat and mouse kind of dynamic
Mhm.
um between Edward Norton, Paul Giamatti. I think that's one of the more interesting like character dynamics in the film for sure. Like Rufus Sewell is one of the like I don't think his character has like a whole lot of depth. It's like this guy's evil. But
Yeah,
if you need somebody to just act evil, just look evil. Rufus Sewell could do it. There
yeah.
was a whole entire time in the aughts where he was doing that in movies.
He was so good in Man in the High Castle too.
Yes.
A
I'm pretty sure
a
that
very underrated show that did not get the love it should have.
it's interesting that I just pulled up his IMDb, and that's not even in his four, which I'm a little surprised that
That's
that's not.
surprising.
Because like they have this Dark City, which that was his like big 90s leading role, and then A Knight's Tale, which I do distinctly remember him being in A Knight's Tale, being an antagonist in that too.
Mhm.
Tristan and Isolde, my God. Like, yep, yeah, that's James Franco. I remember when that came out too.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. He was in that show on Netflix, Kaleidoscope. I forgot about that.
but I appreciate when I see Rufus Sewell pop up in more things. I
Me too.
remember seeing him pop up in Old, that M. Night Shyamalan movie. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah. Love seeing him pop up and stuff. But no, I think this has a core strong grouping of actors. I'm pretty sure like Jessica Biel is like one of the more popular performers, which I think
yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons why she got cast in this. Because like she was big time at that point.
Hmm.
Um, but I think this makes a really interesting double feature, as we did this on here because it keeps you on edge, it has a lot of mystery, and
Yeah,
it whisks you back into these period settings very well. And like I said, I do really respect the not only the period setting and all the production design and costuming stuff like that, but the attempt to make it feel like this is a
sure.
vintage movie. And I think that's one of the more fun elements that Berger threw in there, telling this story. But overall, I, I can't remember if this was the second or third time that I've watched this, but it's still an enjoyable ride, and I didn't mind going back to it and enjoying it. I do own it. I think I bought it for pretty cheap, used. So I'm like, well, that's a good deal. This is an enjoyable, good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, any final thoughts or other thoughts, Jeff, about The Illusionist?
No, I mean it's good. I don't know if I'll come back to it very often, but it's a fine enough film to watch if you're flipping through channels, if people still do that nowadays and it's on. Like it's worth just turning on and watching if you catch it early enough.
Or what's interesting is it looks like it's on Amazon, Hulu, and AMC Plus. So
Yeah.
this is just
Which is really funny because The Prestige isn't on anything. Like I had to watch it with my Blu-ray. Not that I'm complaining, I would watch it that way anyway.
why is
But
this not? Wait, why isn't that should be on HBO Max? Like I
right,
feel like
shouldn't it? But it's not,
is it?
it wasn't like a Warner Brothers film at the time.
Oh, was this?
It was before he started getting in with the like the Warner Brothers crowd. This is before Batman and everything.
Well, no, was it Batman Begins '05?
Yeah. Or no,
Because
no, wait.
I thought
Yeah,
that
it was '05.
because I thought this was like because basically what he did with Warner Brothers was I make you a Batman movie, you
Yeah.
bankroll my thing because I thought this was his like tit for tat for Batman
Hmm.
Begins, but then it was the Dark Knight and Inception, and then it was Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar.
Right, right.
But still, it should be somewhere. Come on, people. What are you doing? What are you
Yeah,
doing, Warner Brothers?
I'm very surprised when I went to go look up Prestige that it wasn't on like a streaming service at somewhere, you know.
That's disappointing
How
because that
great and
means less
how
people
good
can
it
see it.
is. Yeah,
So they should find it on a streaming service somewhere. But Jeff, thank you as always for coming on here and chatting some movies with me.
absolutely. Anytime.
And next month, we're going to be dabbling into another interesting pairing of movies that came out around the same time with the same basic premise. But instead of the mysteries of magicians, this is the mysteries of trying to make the Friends with Benefits work. And that is Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached. So obviously, completely tonally relevant to what we talked about today. And next week is going to be the first Thursday of December. So my wife Jess is going to be on, and we're going to be talking about They Live and Starman. So a couple of alien focused John Carpenter flicks. So it'll be some fun next week. But thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite movie about magicians? And why is it The Prestige? And make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. We have so many different types of shows, so many interests for you to dive into. And if you're interested in becoming a guest on one of these shows or starting your own podcast, make sure to reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network.